looking at the Zhan Zhuang, the standing Qigong, and this can be done. One or two of you I know may need to sit down to do this, in which case please do sit down. It just means you don't involve your legs. Particularly good for the heart, for the general organs in the body, and we're trying to get the fascia functioning here. So we're trying to engage the fascia rather than the muscles. Now, the only way you can do that is by not engaging the muscles. You have to actually let go of the muscles completely. I say the only way, probably there may be other ways, but so feet comfortable width. So we're just going to do this today. Probably talk things through as we go, relax this, relax that. And when you lift your hands up, rather than, this is what I said last week, rather than lift them outwards and upwards to the position where you're finally going to be, which pulls the shoulder forward out the socket, try doing this, just lifting straight up here in front of you. So this can completely relax and then very gently extend, but not to the extent of pulling the shoulder forwards, okay? So just lift the hands up close to your body. Now do a pelvic tilt. Knees haven't bent yet. Now let the knees bend because the pelvic tilt's happening more, and I'm actually extending my arms towards you on the screen there, although you can't really tell. Now I haven't gone massively extended. Look, I'm here. Yeah, it's not very wide, but this is beyond 90 degrees. This is more than 90. Yeah, it's beyond the right angle. I haven't pulled the shoulder out the socket too far forwards. I've just let it settle into the socket here. This should feel comfortable, which is always kind of a joke when you're talking about Zhan Zhuang, because people when they first start really don't feel comfortable. Okay, now stay there, just stay there. Right, so we need to think a bit about the spine. So this is really terrible on the neck. Okay, this is really, really terrible. I should push what do I look like on the screen? Yeah, dreadful. So I've really pushed my head forward. So when I used to do this back in the 80s with Chu King Hung, so he would come along, as I'm sure I've mentioned before, he would come along and place, he had a stick that he would place against your spine, and about the height of your head, and it went down your spine. So you had to kind of align your spine with that stick. So the idea was that you took your head back and laid it against the stick without lifting the nose. Okay. Now, the theory is great, but I don't personally like the method. I understand exactly what the point was, but I don't think the method is good, because if you now force your head backwards, yeah, really pushing it back, and you find that you've got a lot of tension in your neck and your shoulders. You've just created a load of tension, so just release it. Okay. Now, would you just lower your hands for a second? So we're going to have a look at this pulling the head back thing today. And this is, let me use this wall here and you'll see what you're aiming to do. And then there's another exercise that we've used for other things in the class. So if I've got my back against the wall, notice, oh, I forgot about the puddle of water. Notice that my feet are not against the wall, because when I sit down, I'm going to be, my bum will go behind my heels. But for the moment, what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to go closer so that I don't have to bend my legs. So I'm actually going to stand close by. If you've got a wall that you can still watch your screen by, copy what I'm doing, if you have. So, but first of all, watch me. So if I've got my back against the wall and I've got the microphone against my back, which doesn't help, if I've got my back against the wall, what I actually want to do, and hopefully this will make a bit of a noise, is I want to take my head and bang it against the wall. Maybe you can't hear that. but it's going bump when I hit my head against the wall. In other words, I'm pulling my head back so it actually hits the wall. So this is that's the idea. Okay, I don't like the method, as I say, but that's the concept behind it. Now, we do a very similar thing in one of the warm-up exercises that we've used in the past. So this is from one of the Dr. Lam exercises, the very first one. Okay, so we're going to do that now because it's relevant. So we lift the hands up to shoulder height. Yeah, wrists and shoulders same height. Rotate your hands and let your elbows sink. And now what you're going to do is you're literally going to try and push your head against the wall behind you. So you force the head backwards against the wall behind you. And now leaving it there, you just tuck your chin under slightly and down you go. Yeah, so let's just do that once more. You lift up, wrist shoulder height, rotate, fingers now eye height roughly. Yeah, and now push your head backwards. So it's like you're trying to bang your head against the wall behind you. And now leave it there, but tuck your chin under. So you now feel the back of your neck stretching. Okay, good. We don't need to do that again. The point of that exercise is it's to improve the, or to develop the potential of your neck. You know, what it can do, its movement. So if you've got a stiff neck, if you always have a stiff neck, this is a particularly good exercise to do, as is the second one in the same set. They should be regularly repeated. Now, that's got a function. You're deliberately pulling your head backwards. Okay, so you can hear I can hardly speak anymore. It's all got caught up because I'm pulling back so hard. And then I tuck the chin under, which is going to make it even worse. Because what I'm trying to do is I'm trying to extend the potential of what my neck can do. So if I've got tight muscles permanently in my neck, this gradually over time, when you practice for weeks and weeks and weeks and months and whatever, it'll start to extend the potential of your neck, trying to develop the potential of your neck. Now, we're not back on the Qigong again, the Zhan Zhuang. So forget your legs, leave them out of it for a second. Okay, so what you're going to do is, let's say the hands are up here, you don't have to do it. So very gently release the back of your neck and let it go. Now, when that happens, you should feel as though your shoulders fall. It should be a feeling of the shoulders falling away from the ears, as though the gap from here to here increases. So when you're there, release the back of the neck and just feel like the muscles in the back of the neck are literally like bits of taut elastic just releasing. Now, sometimes when you do that, you'll get a feeling of your shoulder blades dropping. Yeah. But there's another point to this. Right in the middle, between your two shoulder blades, you have, roughly speaking, towards the top, you've got an acupuncture point or one particular vertebra, which we're interested in. But there is an acupuncture point there as well, just underneath that vertebra. So this is your third thoracic vertebra, which is roughly speaking here. No, I won't bother with the skeleton. We don't need it. So, but approximately, if that's the top of my shoulder blade, it's very hard to feel, but there's the top of my shoulder blade. So it's going to be approximately here. We don't need to be so precise, but this acupuncture point here is called, it translates as body's pillar. In other words, the pillar refers to spine. And this point here, you need to relax. It's not the same as relaxing your shoulder blades. It's similar, but it's not exactly the same. So when you're standing there, and let's do one other thing first before we do that, would you lift your shoulders up? Would you pull them back? And would you now allow the outside edge of the shoulders to align with the outside edge of your hip? So you lift, you pull back and align. So you can do this sitting down even, it doesn't matter. So you lift, pull back, and then align. So to align, they will come back forward slightly. But then your shoulders will be in their, what you might call their correct position, certainly a better position than if you've got a collapsed chest. So now, stand there and relax, first of all, the muscles in your neck, so the elastic in your neck's going. And now relax your shoulder blades. Let them fall. And now relax the point between your shoulder blades. Now, when I do that, when I relax that point, which is roughly speaking opposite my finger here, I feel something going up into the crown of my head, not the crown, sorry, to the top of my spine. So we've had this before. If you were to stick your fingers through your ears and join together in the middle of your head, you would be just above the top of your spine, just above it. Now then, what I feel is when I do, so first of all, I'm going to do the whole process. Again, follow me. Go lift, pull back, and align. Do that once more. Lift, pull back, align, outside edge to outside edge. Okay, so now I'm relaxing my shoulders themselves. I'm relaxing my shoulder blades. I'm relaxing that point between my shoulder blades. So I'm very conscious of the spine. And once again, I've got a feeling of something running up my spine to the point just below where my ears join across. You may get nothing. It doesn't matter if you don't. But the point is, this is a way to think of releasing the top of the spine. Now, what we need is, what's actually happened here is your head has actually gone backwards, very, very slightly. Because when you're in this position here, with your head forwards, and I'm obviously exaggerating a lot, this bit of your spine up at the top here is pulling forwards and your head's going forward. So the whole upper bit is stretching. It's being bent over, it's stretching, and is actually lifting the lower part. So if we think of sinking the lower part, the head kind of goes back a little bit. Now, if I try and force it back, I've started to make those muscles on my back do that. And that we don't want. We really don't want that to happen, because that means the energy is compressed, or it is less able to flow in the back. So you can only do this with relaxation. And incidentally, you don't have to do Zhan Zhuang to practice this. You can practice when you're walking down to the shops, when you're walking out, whatever you're doing, you can practice it. You're playing tennis, practice it, whatever. This is very, very worth practicing. If you suffer from headaches a lot, then I really recommend you practice this. So lift shoulders, pull back, lower, find the alignment points here. And again, lift, pull back, lower. Okay. Okay, so now just let that everything settle there first, because sometimes for some people, this feels like the muscles are pulling, which is good. You want that because they're being allowed to open. So just let them open. Don't stop them. Okay, now let your shoulders drop. Let your shoulder blades drop. Feel like your whole back's dropping. It's a bit like, you've got a cape. You're wearing a cape on your back, and the whole cape is gradually slipping down your back, as though all the skin on your back is the cape, and it's settling. And now the point between your two shoulder blades, release it. And there it is again. I've got it running up. Because that running up is actually my neck doing this and undoing. Okay, it may be an energetic thing going on also, but it's definitely a feeling of something undoing. So now, if your head's in kind of the best of position you can get, and do not force it, you now just lift your hands up in front of you, close, 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 really close. And now, pelvic tilt, sit down. Yeah, your knees are bending, and just extend the arms as you do that, but not so much that you pull the arms out of the shoulder sockets. So feel your shoulder sockets. And also, if you put too much weight on your arms, your head is going to want to go back to where it was. Now open the bones in your palms and the bones in your feet. So the bones in the palms, your metacarpals, they we need to separate. The bones which are equivalent in your feet are the metatarsals, and you need to allow those to undo. So the hands feel like they're spreading a little bit. I'm not forcing them. I'm just undoing rather than doing. And I'm now going to repeat what I did before without the shoulder lifting this time. I'm going to let my shoulders sink. I'm going to let my shoulder blades sink. And that point between my two shoulder blades, and there's the feeling again. When I release that point, it's in direct contact with the point between your two ears. In other words, the top of the spine. the atlas, right on the very top there. Top bone's called the atlas. So the top bone's the atlas, I assume, because of Charles Atlas holding up the world, that symbolic concept there, supporting the world, or Atlas supporting the world. And I just hold this position. Very slowly lower to the penultimate, to the last position, which is 5. So I'm down here. See, I haven't got my knees massively bent. We don't have to be here. You could if you want. If you want to push yourself, you can be. If you're sitting down, it doesn't really matter anyway. You're not going to be doing either of those leg bits. So, and as I say, this is very valid done sitting down. Check where your weight is on your feet. Just get it in the middle. Okay, so we're just going to have a quick look at the feet for a second. Put the weight onto your heels, but your toes don't lift. You've got much more weight on the heels. The toes are just on the point of lifting, but they're not doing. You can possibly now feel your back starting to grip up, and that may grip up right up to your neck. You can feel the muscles engaging up the back of your neck. Body's still upright. We're not leaning backwards. We've got upright. Now, would you put the weight on your toes so the heels almost come off the ground? Okay, so now I can feel the front of my body engaging. All the muscles are kind of being, they're having to tighten to stop me falling forward. So there's a feeling right up to my throat here. Okay, go back on your heels too far, so the toes almost come off the ground. Now all the muscles in the back have engaged, right up to the back of my head, in fact. And then I go onto the toes again, so the heels almost come off the ground. Now find the middle. And you've maintained the middle position. So you're going to lose it sometimes because you're breathing, your chest is opening and closing. So when you breathe and open, you open. When you breathe in, your chest will open, maybe your abdomen will open, depending on what sort of breathing you're using here. Therefore, more weight is fractionally going to go on in front because there's an expansion at the front, very small, but it's enough to shift your weight. And if you forget that's going to happen, you'll find that your weight gradually shifts more and more forwards onto the toes, and just bring it back. And just lower your hands and stand. Yeah. So if you've had your legs bent, just do this. You can either have hands on your hips or backs of your hands on your kidneys is very good also. And you lift and circle, stretch the quads on the top. Yeah, just a few times. We haven't done it for very long. Yeah. Good. So Zhan Zhuang should be very easy. It should be very easy. It's only not easy because you haven't got the body balanced correctly and you've got tension in the body in various places. So the skill of Zhan Zhuang is to actually just locate where the problems are and adjust that.